Hello everyone, we're Tiffany and Coco from BECE4004, Introduction to Research Methods by Dr. Ben. Think for a moment about the modern family scene. It is incredibly common to see a 10-month-old instructively swept at a tablet screen, or a 2-year-old demanding their favorite digital song or video clip on YouTube. This widespread use of technology in the modern home has likely created a brand new digital reality, one where our youngest citizen, infants from 0 to 36 months, are deeply immersed, often even before they speak their first word. When we began this project, we have observed that the traditional narratives often called for a complete ban on the screen time for this age group. Most of them think that children shouldn't expose to the digital device too early. The article named Digital Tech Can Offer Rich Opportunity for Child Development, study says, reports on the findings of a 2-year research project called Toddlers, Tech, and Talk. The imaging evidence from the research is challenging this rigid perspective. The article discusses the research project had revealed key insights into the extent to which children under 3 years old have access to digital technology in their home. The study examining how they interact with them and highlighting its benefits, especially in early language and literacy development, sensory engagement, and emotional connection with distant family members as well. Drawing from the Toddlers, Tech, and Talk project, the research utilized a three-phase mixed methods approach, combining surveys, interviews, and observations to gather comprehensive real-world insights into how 0 to 36-month-old children engage with digital technology in UK's family home. Today, we exclusively focus on the findings from Phase 1, which for the study titled The Rise of Very Young Children in Digital Environments of the Family Home, reports the findings of an online survey that constitute Phase 1 of the Toddlers Tech and Talk project. For the objectives of the research is to evaluate children's interaction with the digital technology and explore how the parents interact the technology with their children as well. Also, it's aimed to examine the implication for children's rights on the technology and contributing the effective policy and practice for supporting their. The quantitative research approach provided broad data through surveys, but the overall study was guided by the interpretive paradigms. Alongside this, the research utilized a cross-sectional study design. This method allowed the team to capture a diverse and immediate snapshot of current interaction habits across the families. This research relies on large-scale surveys and questionnaires through online open calls on the social media and the parenting blogs. The team successfully recruited diverse samples of parents with children aged 0 to 36 months. Crucially, this focused sampling spanning all 4 UK nations. The participants must be over 18 years old and those who are responsible for the care and education of children aged 0 to 36 months. This data was gathered 1,444 valid responses. The majority of the respondents were mothers aged 31 to 40, often being degree holders from middle socio-economic families who speak English in their home.
We have assessed the study's reliability and validity. Starting with reliability, the researchers conducted exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis to develop validated scales measuring parental attitudes, resulting in a robust three-factor structure. The large sample of 1,444 parents across all 4 UK nations provides strong statistical power. Additionally, the survey underwent rigorous pilot testing and was made available in multiple languages, including Chinese, French, and Polish, etc. This ensuring consistent administration across diverse populations. This methodological strength gives us confidence that the measurements were reliable and could be replicated. Therefore, this study demonstrates good reliability. Regarding validity, we assess this as moderate with significant limitations. For internal validity, the study employed multiple regression analyses controlling for numerous variables including parents' age, education, and income, etc. This strengthens our confidence in the associations identified. However, two critical concerns arise. First, the study relies entirely on parental self-reports rather than objective observation. Given that 70% of parents believed young children use digital technology too much and too early, social desirability bias may lead parents to underreport actual usage. Second, the cross-section design shows only correlations, not causation. We cannot conclude that the lower income causes fewer devices or that parental education drive different mediation practices. So it's moderate. For external validity, we rate this as limited. Pros: the sample included noteworthy diversity, geographic diversity, and the representation across urban, suburban, and rural locations. Despite recruitment efforts, the sample was mainly representative from middle class or above, and the underrepresentation of children with disability. Therefore, critically, all participants needed sufficient literacy and digital access to complete an online survey, potentially excluding the most digitally disadvantaged family, precisely those most relevant to understanding digital inequality. Moreover, some limitations are discovered. The sample exhibits a significant bias toward highly educated, married, English-speaking mothers, which limits its representativeness of the UK population of every young children's family. Second, the number of children with a reported disability was lower than expected for a UK-wide sample. Third, the survey method is limited in that it can only point to trends and is unable to provide the deeper insights that are planned for the qualitative interviews and case studies in the later phases. Fourth, some statistical models were weak, only explaining a small number of the variants and key outcomes such as parental attitudes toward digital devices and child well-being.
The research findings focus on three domains, which is the prevalence of the digital technology in homes, intersection of technology used with children's rights, and also the parental mediation as well. For the provision rights, under access and ownership of the digital technology of children. This study concludes all digital technology is profoundly embedded in the daily lives of very young children. Nearly all families home surveyed had Wi-Fi access, and most respondents indicate that they had a broad range of device types at home. For instance, smartphones, smart TVs, laptops, tablets are being the most popular. This visual is a descriptive frequency table, which is standard quantitative tool used to summarize the survey results. Specifically, it provides a simultaneous view of three key frequencies. The first two are the type of the device at home, and the number of devices at home, shows the percentages of the surveyed families who own that device. The third column is the devices owned by child, which reports the percentages of infants in the study population who have a device designated specifically as their own. Looking at the data, the sheer pervasive presence of the technology is clear. 98.3% surveyed families owns a smartphone, and 92.2% families owned the TV or the smart TV. Also, over 80% also owned the laptops and the tablets. This confirms the infants are immersed in a dense ecosystem of connected devices. So for the amount of the children owned device, over 56% of children owned 1 to 3 devices on their own. What do the children like to do on their own on digital device? Watching children's TV shows and videos, watching the YouTube clips, and play the games as well are the most frequent solitary activities. The study reveals that when children use technology alongside their parents, they engage in highly social and shared activities. Their most common interaction involves taking and viewing families' photographs and video, as well as participating in video calls with distant families and friends. Many parents express their concerns about the protection rights. Some of them think that young children use the digital technology too much and too early, and some of them think that digital devices are damaging to the children's mental health. The study concludes that the parental mediation practices are crucial in balancing interplay of children's protection rights. Parents frequently mediate their children's use device by showing their children how to use this device, joining them in the games or activities, supervise their children's device use. Also, doing some explanation of the items on the screen or helping them to learn some words, letters, sounds, and shapes.
Now, let's do some comparison. For a newspaper, it is the summary of the Toddlers Tech and Talk project. It has summarized the findings across all three phases, and it focused on the child developmental outcome of the digital technology. However, for the research paper, it focused on the digital practice, for example, the numbers of devices they owned and the usage, etc. It shows some potential concerns on using the digital technology in young age. The newspaper focuses on the developmental outcomes, claiming the technology offers opportunities for child development, but the study focused on the ownership patterns and usage practices. Additionally, for the justification, it addressing the gaps in knowledge about the use of devices youngest children. First, the digital devices and engagement levels at home. Second, the parental mediation in diverse contexts, and the digital inclusion and policy. Also, it responds to the international policy mandates. It shows the balancing rights. First, it increases the participation right and the provision right, but it lowers the protection right. Last but not least, it informing the UK policy and practice. First, it currently excludes the children under the age of 3 so that we can amend a national surveys. Second, it excludes a constructive, consistent, and clear advice for parents. Therefore, we could develop a tailored guidance for parents to show how to do it. It is interesting to do a comparison between a newspaper article and research study. Thank you so much.